I want is less than 1 million. So I wondered if the house is say 800, or let's say it's like 700,000, am I able to apply for a bond for 800,000 so that I can cover the cost as well?
Yeah, so that's what I meant by you being a first-time buyer and us applying for costs. We can apply only up to a maximum of the purchase price and an extra 8%
Oh,
on top of the purchase price to accommodate costs. So, for example,
okay.
if it's 700,000 times an extra 8% of that, sorry, I'm just calculating it on my side. It gives us a 56,000 Rand value that we could potentially load or
Will
have
that
the
be
banks load, and that would purely be towards attorney registration and transfer. There are still transfer costs, right? Even
yeah.
though you are buying underneath the threshold or under the threshold of the transfer duties payable to SARS, there are still conveyancing fees that are applicable to
Yeah.
buying and transferring property to your name. So, for
Yeah.
example, on 700,000, I'll just quickly calculate that for you. The transfer conveyancing fees come to 25,000, and then the bond registration also 25,000. So it's roughly about 50,000 Rand that you'd need to pay out of pocket for the transfer and registration of a 700,000 Rand property purchase. We will, however, be able to discount about 10,000 Rand off that for you on the bond registration attorney's fees.
Okay. And is that all required right up front, right
Well,
at the beginning?
it's sort of required a month after you've secured the approval. If I look at the
Okay.
timeline, so let's just say we secure your bond approval in the next 2 weeks, right? And you're happy to proceed with one of the bond offers within a month of that process. So by the end of May, you'd be needing
Mm-hmm.
to pay those costs, because you would have signed paperwork with the various attorney
Yeah.
firms, and then in
Mm.
order for them to get the necessary clearances on their side, you'll need to pay costs. So
So that's for both the attorneys.
both attorneys,
Or
yes, both attorneys'
okay.
fees will be required to be paid. So you're looking at about 25,000 Rand for the transfer, and then on the bond side, 25 less 10 is about 15,000
Okay.
Rand.
Okay, I see. But how come you can't say why can't the bank offer you 800,000 and just have that be one? Why are we applying as a separate for? I'm not sure. I'm trying to understand.
No problem. So even though you
Yeah.
qualify for a higher value in terms of your affordability, the banks
Yeah.
will cap their risk at only the property price. They will not fund it higher, even though the upfront the property might even be worth more. They will only fund the property price and up to the additional 8% for those attorney fees if you're a first time buyer. So
Okay.
that's their rules, that's their policy, it's their risk policy. However, six
Mm.
months down the line, they will entertain a further bond application or top up loan application if there's equity in your property. Say, for example, you got it at a good deal and you actually bought it for 100 to 200,000 Rand less than what it's actually worth. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
say it was a quick sale. You knew the people that were selling, and you just got a great deal on buying, and you bought it for
Yeah.
less than what it's actually worth. Then the difference between the 700,000 and let's just say it's worth 800,000, 6 months down the line, after a track record of payments are established on the facility that you've taken out, you can then at that stage approach the bank again to top up the loan. It's just a matter of mitigating risk for the banks. So for them,
Okay.
it's not something that it's not like unsecured lending like a personal loan works. It works purely
Yeah.
based on the equity available in that property, in that asset. So the reason for that is if, for instance, you stop paying and you default on the bond repayments, they would then have to follow a legal recourse to repossess the property. And if they did
Mhm.
that and funded you for much more than what it can actually sell for, that means that they'll make a loss. So that's why they'll
True.
always stick to very close to what you are buying that property for in the beginning stages and look at
Okay.
topping it up at a later stage.
Okay. And then my other question was, you're only able to start shopping for interest once the offer to purchase has been signed.
Correct. We can only negotiate your interest rates once I've received your offer. And then I can at that stage, approach the various banks after we've secured all your approvals and options. I can go back and negotiate for an interest rate reduction on your behalf.
Okay. Okay. And then what was my other question? I think I asked you this the other time, if it's better to use the deposit for the attorney fees or not, or yeah, like that, because I'm not sure how that would look. Yeah.
I think the savings that you've got now, if you can put that towards attorney fees, that's fine. And we can apply then for just the purchase price for now, and that leaves room for you to then, in the future, if you're needing to top up the finance facility to just do renovations on the house, for example, you can do that. So I think it would be best to just look at covering your attorney fees out of pocket.
Yeah.
It also
Okay.
helps negotiate for a decent rate if we don't
Okay.
apply for a bond plus costs facility.
Okay. Also, that's better than, okay, I see. It's better than putting in the deposit and still having to negotiate for the bond attorney fees.
Yes, that's right. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's better. I mean, if the type of interest rates that we can secure these days, because the banks are quite open to approving home loans. They're not restricting, the home loan approvals in any way. We're finding that there's little difference between a 10% deposit and a 100% home loan in terms of interest rate. We're not seeing a massive difference between the two. So it wouldn't really make sense then to take your cash, put it into the purchase when it can be better served elsewhere if it wasn't going to impact the rate.
Tiano, thank you so much. It sounds good. I think I'm still. I did put in an offer for the home that we want, so I'll just
Okay,
let you
great.
know. Yeah, I'll just let you know how that goes.
Yes,
And then,
definitely.
we can get started. Yeah,
Definitely.
but I'm very excited.
I'm also excited.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy that you're taking this first step, and especially for your family. They're going to be over the moon
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, no, they're really so excited at the thought. So,
Of
no, I
having
appreciate
their
it.
own. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So exciting. So exciting. You'll definitely need to plan a visit then back home.
I must.
Once the transfer goes
Yeah.
through, yes, so that you
I
can have a
must, yeah.
housewarming party.
Exactly. Pop some champagne.
Yes, it definitely needs
No.
champagne.
No, for sure. Okay, no, those are the questions that I had, but yeah, no,
Sure.
I feel better now. Yeah,
Just
everything's
knowing.
clear.